Hello one, hello all. It's the most trying to figure out what the fuck happened ghost of them all, Casp in the flesh. It's time for a review of Destroy Lonely. Love lasts forever. Oh, it's you. What do you want? Whoa, slow your roll, Billy Joel. It's not your girl.
Yeah, I'm not your girl.
Almost convincing. Okay. So, if you're not my girl, what's my favorite album?
Chris Brown Indigo.
Oh yeah, definitely not my girl. Anyway, Destroy Lonely, rapper, singer, songwriter, Opium label, Playboi Carti's Opium label, Destroy Lonely, is back with a new LP. And this rapper has put some material out that has hit my radar. One of Playboi Carti's artists who has hit my radar recently of this decade, whose music I've been reviewing for quite some time now. And if you've watched my reviews, you know I'm not a fan of this guy. With release after release, I've just found myself being underwhelmed, continuously underwhelmed, making very uninspired rage rap, not bringing anything to the genre whatsoever. Well, not anything good anyway, because all he's really bringing is lethargic, messy, sloppy, just deplorable production that consists of these muddy, lackluster mixes, barely any standout lines, and when they do stand out, it is not for the right reason. Most notably this line here, and not to mention how monotonous a lot of these songs, let alone albums, turn out to be. And as far as rage rap goes, even though he has stepped away from that and he's doing something different here, is he doing anything interesting with the switch up? No, not at all. Not at fucking all. But I do feel it's important that I touch on what has saved rage rap in a way is Yeat's 2093 album, a fantastic album where he did a lot of world building, brought a lot of different elements to the genre. He pretty much did a total reinvention of the genre. While acts like Playboi Carti, acts like Ken Carson, acts like Destroy Lonely here have brought really nothing much going forward, or let alone when Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely started. Also, I want to mention how Yeat also is creating more characters, going way out there with the vocal inflections, creating this immense dystopian world, and I do feel like I am reviewing the album all over again, but trust me, after you hear this album, or if you've heard this album, and you feel the same way I do, you know it's a necessary palate cleanser. Point being, he definitely raised the bar with that album. And Destroy Lonely here is barely getting the bar off his chest. Now, do I think he sounds more coherent on some of these tracks? Yes. Is it consistent? No. And I will say though, the production is nowhere near as mind-numbing as his earlier work, but honestly, vocally, he just has no identity whatsoever. And that is certainly a problem that rears its ugly derivative head over and over. But I am relieved and reluctant to tell you that this is only an hour, and we're not counting the bonus tracks. So maybe it might be a little less than an hour. But in comparison to his other lengthy slog of albums, his sleep fest of albums, this is honestly somewhat of a breath of fresh air. But it's still very clear he sounds like a poor offshoot of Playboi Carti. He sounds like a poor offshoot of Don Toliver at times, Travis Scott at times, Young Thug at times. But does he do anything to bolster these sounds? Does he do anything to create a watershed moment here? No. Not at all. The hooks and melodies are nowhere near as memorable as a Lil Uzi track, nowhere near as vocally versatile as Yeat, nowhere near as vocally elastic or tangible as a Young Thug track, or nowhere near as energetic or boundary pushing as a Playboi Carti or Yeet track. And yes, I mention Yeet a lot because Yeet is MVP within the style that Destroy Lonely tries to do. Like, granted, the departure from rage rap is clear. He's not doing that anymore. But out of Playboi Carti's children, Yeet is definitely the pick of the litter. And I will admit there is sonic change of pace instrumentally on here, but instantly kneecapped by Destroy Lonely's unintelligible vocal performances here. Not to mention his very sleepy delivery, where the reverb vocals don't correlate well at all with a washed out production. It sounds like mush. And it baffles me how the opener here is about 4 minutes, but sounds still incomplete. It doesn't sound well structured at all. And that's the thing. After returning to this album again and again and again, I am struggling to find the appeal. I feel like I'm just getting tacky versions of artists who I've already listened to, minus the pros that made them great, minus the structure, minus the overall appeal, minus the it factor. And the features here, they don't share any chemistry with Destroy Lonely whatsoever. And oddly enough, Uzi is a featured guest, but probably the most topically focused on this whole LP. And if I can give this record credit where it's due, I do like the transitions here. But the problem is that we're getting transitions into songs that get weaker and weaker and weaker. It's just one bland, flavorless, boring track after the next. Like Love For You. This is a Travis Scott song. Who are we kidding? This is a Travis Scott song. Let's not lie to ourselves here. We already lied to ourselves in a conversation that's for another day, but you know the people who I'm talking about. And there's other songs here where if we are to contextualize Destroy Lonely's intentions, his lyrics for that matter, given the allegations against him, I don't really think he's in any position to victimize himself or talk about love or gaslight you into thinking he's like worthy of that, especially with the heinous abuse allegations behind him. So honestly, I could care less about his love life. I really think it's gross he's developed this victim complex. So yeah, if he's not trying to gaslight you, he's giving you these boring flex bars and these really questionable lyrics. And the production is just dime a dozen most of the time. Like, I feel a majority of this is what would happen if you typed into YouTube Playboi Carti type beat. Like, I really don't get how we get booming bass, right? The bass booms, but it's so flat and lifeless that it just sounds like it's trying to be triumphant. It sounds like it's trying to be bolsterous, but it just comes off so plain and doesn't pop out at me at all. And the drum patterns are not exciting. They're not adrenaline pumping. I feel like the only moment here that does feel lavish and rich is Pimp Talk. But honestly, Destroy Lonely just brings nothing but bad Playboi Carti, Travis Scott worship. But yeah, this is honestly the most instantly beautiful song here, but the rest of the production here just sounds so basic. It just fails to be hypnotic and enchanting like you would normally get from artists in this lane that actually makes good music. Like, this thing to me just serves as background music. And there is a moment here that's laughable in context, like on the record Syrup Sippin', where I do agree these young dudes, these young artists definitely deserve a chance. That's true, but that doesn't make them exempt of criticism. And trust me, I've heard a plethora of young dudes come out with fantastic music this decade, and I truly love listening to them. But this young dude here is not exempt to the rule. I don't think I should be told that I don't get it or I'm too old to understand. Because when the track is loaded with nonsensical bars, hideous sloppy vocals, and super sus lines, yeah, I would say criticism, in my opinion, is definitely needed. I feel none of these songs have much in terms of direction, not much clarity, barely any consistent quality when there is quality. I feel like this album is supposed to have energy. It's supposed to have passion. It's supposed to have aggression, but a majority of this just feels emotionless. I feel like it's supposed to make me feel good, but it just makes me bored and lethargic. Like, is this supposed to put me to sleep? Because it's exceeding in that department. If this album is supposed to put me to sleep, then mission accomplished. But I don't think it's going for that. And I do admit, the production is cleaner, but it just leaves me bored and reminded constantly of how much of a tedious listen this is. And I feel the cleaner production, the transitions, it's only the tip of the iceberg. It's only an inkling of what is supposed to make an album good. There's also these songs I mentioned before that just come off really half-baked, so ill-conceived, so non-compelling when he's trying to be emotional. So yeah, again, I feel this album does have improvements, but I walked away from this feeling annoyed, fatigued, and honestly grossed out. You could make the argument he does put out a lot of music. Yes, no one's denying that. But he is a great example of quantity over quality. There's nothing ambitious, there's nothing adventurous, and with how vast his catalog is, I listened to it and I walked away just feeling nothing. It's like his album is just a plethora of emptiness. Nothing memorable, rapper, awful singer, but as an overall album experience, I didn't like this thing at all. Didn't like one track off it. Didn't like any bars off it. Like, sure, a little bit of an improvement, a little bit. But nowhere near as great as the artist he's trying to duplicate. I'm feeling 1 black heart out of 5 on this LP. If you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. I am Caspa. I am your plug. Hit me with a sub. Show me love. Drop a comment, even if it's some nonsense. Caspa, destroy lonely. Caspa, destroy lonely. Till we meet again.